All right, May 28th. It's after 8 o'clock in the evening. Uh, my back is sore from leaning over this go-kart, and I know you're probably saying it doesn't look any different than it did yesterday. Um, we had to rework some things. All the fuel tanks, there's fuel in it. We have run the motors, so quite a bit has taken place today. I'll run you through what I had to change, but we went ahead and put the riv nuts in and got this tank mounted. It looks a little close with the old petcock there, and if it becomes a problem, we will just go ahead and just put a standard 90 elbow in here. We got plenty of room, right? I mean, there's a good 1/4 inch in there, and that's with it opened all the way up. So, yeah, we took another one of the Margay, the fittings off the Margay, and ran the feed in instead of getting that T fitting that I showed you yesterday. Just seemed like this was just the better idea. I don't know. There's the sump is in the front of this part of the tank here. The first 3/4 or an inch, and it's square. So we're feeding into it. We're feeding out of it. Tried the LAD carb of Kenny's, right, from the old Yamaha. Thanks, Chris West again. Talked to Chris on the phone. Absolutely perfect. Perfect. 2 turns on the low. We had about 3/4 of a turn, and we had it opened all the way up till it was touching the low speed there. That was about 3/4. Right now it's at about 5/8. I opened or turned it down to about half because it was at first struggling a little bit to clean up, but it's perfect. It's just like the other carburetor that I sold with the vintage cart, man. You get your foot in it, and it'll clean up. Good to go. We're happy. So we went back and did some more work to the steering. As you can see, I rehabbed the steering shaft instead of putting a new shaft in. Cut that upper pitman arm loose. Careful not to touch the steering shaft, and then knocked it down and tacked them together. Then welded it on. Removed those welds where we tacked them together, and then metal finished everything where the weld was on originally up here, and it looks good, man. It turned out good. So everything now is tight. We rerouted the brake lines over to this side just to make sure we have enough free play and room in here. Got to put an Allen wrench on these front brakes. I'm sure they're tight, but just to make sure they're tight, and then we'll go ahead and wire those up. We've been wiring everything as we go. All the fuel lines are on and wired. Like I said, there's fuel in the tank there. You look in the old sight glass there, and that's it. I know it looks like water, doesn't it? That's that Repsol, baby. She's light tan in color, the oil, and if your fuel is clear, and everything will look clear. So, yep, there we go. We started up, ran it, me and Rich. Everything was good. Thanks for the help, Richie. I had to move the perch or hold down from. I had it welded on here, and it wasn't going to move with the pedals. Remember, so came up with something here. We drilled and tapped, made us a little bracket, piece of old steering shaft, drilled, tapped, and lo and behold, man, it's an RPM factory piece right there. So. Everything's good. She's ready to go. Really, literally, at this point, folks, all I need to do is probably trim this off. Just trim it off across here, and get the heat shield and belt guard on. Tie the rear into it. Do something here, maybe off these tabs with a bar, maybe up here to support the shoulder bolster. And this thing will be ready to go out onto the racetrack. I don't know if I'm going to try to get that nose cone on here, because what we've got going on here, we bought these wheels from Todd Lorang at Mid-Ohio almost a year ago now, right? And what we need is a 2.5 inch back spacing to move the tire. And look at all the gap we have between the rotor or the caliper and the tire here. That's a big issue on the 125, right? Because the brakes are so big. If we had 2-inch outside, 2.5 backside, it would move the whole wheel in. You can see it looks like it's pretty flush here, but you look at what's going on. This is where the nose sits. I mean, all that tire is going to be sitting outside of that nose cone. Now, I could probably just cut the darn thing in half and spread it out a 1/2 inch or 1 inch and goob it back up. Literally, I mean, we'll just put some Gorilla Tape over the work, right? We don't have to make it pretty, and that might be what I do. Otherwise, we really have to open the wheel openings up because the tires are going to be sticking way out past the nose. So I'd like to have a nose on it, to tell you the truth. I just really would, even though won't have side panels on it. I really would like to have a nose on it just to get an idea of how the car is going to get through the air and around the track. It's quite a bit different, vintage, naked, than it is with some body work. It's been a long, long time for me to get back into that mode of the old Hartman copy, right, that I bought from Pat Basha. When I got that go-kart, it had an LCR Leo Capaldi nose cone on it and a floor pan, full floor pan, but fuel tanks, no side panels. And that was a big difference from just a go-kart with no, just a number panel on the front, you know. And then, of course, once we I got a ride in a go-kart with side panels with my brother Kenny's, had nose and sides. I told him, man, it's almost like that World Outlaws car, right? With the wing with the big side plates on it. That bodywork does something and it helps the car get around the corner. It absolutely does. And so going back to running the vintage car was very strange. And the four-banger is kind of the same because there's nothing on it. Before we get the four-banger out to the track again, we really need to finish off that bodywork that we had in mind for it and get a body on that thing and make it look like a go-kart like everything else, right? So that's it for today. My back is pretty sore from leaning over this thing. But we worked out a bunch of stuff, and at this point now, like I said, we got to get the gauge. We brought the gauge over. We got to wire up everything, get the gauge on. After we finish this seat, the last thing to go on will be the gauge, and should be ready to go. We'll run the big yardstick down the side of the cart, right? And we'll go ahead and simulate the string. You see that this wheel needs to come out some more. You see what we got going on here, and this one will be this one's probably, I'm sure, the opposite. The front wheel is going to be more inboard. Let's see if we get. Wow, that's really close. We're real close. And back there, when you touch the front and the rear of the tire, the sidewall. So we're real close. So yeah, that's what we'll do. We'll string it up with the old yardstick, and then we'll check the toe to make sure it's as close to 0 as we can get it. We like it at 0, and we'll go from there. We'll give her a shakedown. Like I said, we've got 3 pieces of seat remaining to get in. I really don't see any reason why, with it today only being Saturday evening, we got Sunday and Monday before going back to regular, work week and all that. Monday being one exact 7 days from having to have it on the track. So 4 or 5 days anyway to work on it next week. So next weekend we want to Saturday, no later than Saturday. Obviously, we want to have the trailer loaded up out here. And so there you go. Tomorrow I'm going to run over to Rich's. I took everything over there to get the throttle cable on. Piece of cake, actually. Just take the other cable off, leave the housing, send the cable through from the carburetor on through, and trim the housing down to the right length for the tillets and carburetor. And then we'll fire that bad boy up too. We got antifreeze in that thing yet. We still need to purge the antifreeze out of that thing. And I'm starting to get a little excited, guys. Gonna have I'm hoping, knock wood, God willing, we'll have more than one go-kart to play with over there, which is always cool. And I'm really starting to get excited about this thing. If the motor runs, we don't blow it up. If it just goes and runs, this is something I can put Richard in and start it up and let him go once his belly gets healed. Listen to the doctor, Rich. But you know, Kenny can drive it. Kenny likes this kind of stuff. Kenny can drive it too. We can drop the steering down pretty quick, move pedals around. You know, who knows? Who knows? Maybe the lawnmower man. Maybe we'll get Sean in this bad boy. Maybe, you know, not the first time out. We got to get it shook down. But once we know she's safe and going straight and turning corners and stopping when it's supposed to, absolutely. That's it for the 28th. It was a day. It was a day. We're going to get her done, guys. Hang in there. It'll get better. Happy Memorial Day.